What's up, fellow Game Wars? Chief Rocky here with another episode of Empyrion Galactic Survival, and today I will be going over all the equipment I used during Season 3 on the Inflicted server. So we'll go ahead and get this started, starting with these. These are my little devils, my HY or hover utilities. You can see that they have evolved over the time. I used this one in 6.0 on the Wolves server, and I continue to use it again in this server. I think in a few of the videos you saw where I strapped on some more cargo boxes in the back, and this thing was just going in and out, in and out, in and out of the base. Even underground, our labyrinth was at least 2 blocks large base-wise, so this was perfect to go into the base, right next to the constructor, load up, and then come right back out. So this thing was crucial towards bringing all that ammo from the lower end of the base all the way up in great amount of time by walking around and carrying everything. Of course, you got the S-type, which I only used, I believe, on Skillon when Static Hair had his base to go hunting and bring back meat. You can see there's the little refrigerator, so this thing's perfect for scouting and killing animals and bringing back meat. And then right here you got the HY type or 2 type Delta. The type Delta is by far my most useful design. This thing's perfect for digging little holes. It's perfect for chewing through meteorites. I chose to put the T1 mechanical drills on there because it is a lot cheaper to spawn in initially, and then you could just craft the other ones and pluck these out and put those in. So to keep it very cheap of a blueprint, I decided to keep the T1 mechanical drills. Okay, on to my main workhorse for my war machine, and this would be the Light Tank 1 Relic Mark II Alpha. Now, this is the second iteration of my Relic, and this is the first modification to the Mark II, and this is the final modification to the Mark II. I love this tank. It's fast, it's light, it's maneuverable, it packs a decent amount of fire punch. However, coming up against other tanks, it does not hold its own. It is outclassed by other tanks. However, in groups, this thing is a beast. This thing is a group tank. When you have a large amount of these coming at you, and believe me, the Thunderous Might holds 4 of these, and these fall on top of you before you could actually react, these things are devastating. Right? This little hook here holds it to the Thunderous Might, and it just drops right down onto the enemy, regardless of where you're at. The Thunderous Might has probably been the best thing for this tank because it really increases its lethality by the way it's deployed. I will be releasing this to Steam, so please be on the lookout for the Relic Mark II Alpha. If I haven't released it by the time this video is out, then I will update this video and put it in the description. Alright, now to the Relic Mark III Imbued. Okay, so you guys possibly seen the whole thing where it goes where World War II, you know, they needed to increase the armor on the tanks, so they slapped some armor on the side of the tanks. That's exactly what I did here. I put a layer of armor, a little bit thicker on the front, but a layer of armor around the tank. So it has increased the defense of this tank. And this tank right here, before I developed my medium tank, was the tank that I went through and punched through the enemy defenses, allowing the relics to kind of come in. The relics were good at punching through POIs, but enemy bases, oh man, I'd have to do waves of relics. So I'd have like 8, 9, 10 relics on standby, and they're really cheap, so it was easy to do that. And it kept the enemy up for like 3 hours, and they were getting tired during that season. But the Relic Mark III was a temporary solution, but it became a permanent thing. This thing is a beast. It cannot deploy from the Thunderous Might, however. It is just too wide, so it can't fit in the bay. So this is one of those things where you know, it has feet on the bottom, and you deploy it via a regular transport, or you spawn it into the planet and load it up with ammunition before the attack. but this is not a rapid deploy vehicle. That is a rapid deploy vehicle. Okay, so on to my medium tank design. Right towards the end of the season, I brought this into the server and tested it out. It did fairly well compared to other vehicles and the situation. So the situation, when we tested this on the server, we had a huge amount of lag for no reason at all. I think it was because they were running a test server for 8.0 and they were running the 7.0 server, and it kind of like, yeah, it gave us all sorts of problems. So this tank was designed to be able to hold its own against other tanks, and then still be able to bust through POIs and enemy bases, and it does that very well. There are some factions out there that have some super uber tanks, XPA, and this thing, yeah, it just gets eaten up. So there's other tank designs that I'm going to go over, and I'll give you guys a little sneak peek of my new heavy tank. But this right here, the medium tank 1 Zealot, it is a rapid deployable tank. The Thunderous Might will hold 2 of these, so theoretically it can hold 2 relics and 1 Zealot. So this is a rapid deploy tank. That means it's very useful. I could get it to a planet and get it off the planet very fast, and it is a beast. It holds its own. It's a beauty. I love the Zealot. I will not be releasing this to Steam. All right. The only reason I'm releasing these 2 to Steam is because these things have been conquered and beat up and destroyed and left on the battlefield in so many servers now that everybody knows what the inside of this looks like. There's no hiding this. Okay. This, however, is still a Obsidian Syndicate military secret, and I am not releasing that information yet until enough of these get beaten up, destroyed, and captured in battle, and then I'll release it. All right. So that's it for all the land vehicles. And actually, I'll give you guys a sneak peek right now. Boom. The HT1 Dark Crusader. Now, if you've seen Spange, then you know he has the Crusader tank. This is my version. Of course, I got rights from the Spangenite Industries to purchase and change for the Obsidian Syndicate military. Obsidian Syndicate. Oh my God, words. So this is the OS version of the Crusader. Spange knows about it. I sent him a picture. He loves it. I don't know why he likes my designs, but he does. This thing is a heavy tank, size class 3, and I haven't really tested it out yet, but we'll see how the Dark Crusader holds up against other equipment. All right, that's it for the sneak peek. So up and away to space. All right, so now let's cover the space equipment. So without further ado, we have one of my favorite designs, the Light Reconnaissance Craft Spider Bite. I didn't get to use it as much in the server as I wanted to. It's just on this new PvP server, these are kind of obsolete. It does its job reconnaissing planets, great, but when it comes into contact with an enemy vessel, it's not going to hold up. It has exposed cockpit, exposed thrusters, not enough firepower. It's just, yeah, especially with these vehicles that they have on the server and the amount of homing rockets. Like this thing just, yeah, it's not feasible anymore. So of course I'm going to be reaching out to the members in the faction to let's design some recon vessels that are a lot stronger than the Spider Bite. But for right now, this is still the recon vessel for the faction until we come up with a better design that can suitably hold its own if it needs to exit in combat. But this is one of my more favorite early designs. I absolutely love the Spider Bite. It's menacing looking, but its days are coming to an end. So I will be releasing this to the Steam Workshop for people to play around with. It is a beautiful, fast little craft, and it's won many of dogfights with smaller craft its size. But now in days with vessels getting a lot bigger and a lot stronger, these things are becoming obsolete. Okay, so another Spangenite Industries. This I used when I was in the same faction as Spange on the Wolf server, and I continue to use it now because it is such a viable POI killer. Even now on PvP, it still holds its own against player bases. It was designed for PvE, but it really does hold its own on player bases. When it comes to combat, though, no, it does not hold its own against other vessels. This thing is a lot slower than the spider bite. It doesn't respond as fast as a spider bite. So there, it's yeah. But it's still useful against player bases. So as a strike fighter, it is still a strike fighter. It works. So we're going to continue to use it until we come up with something better. I think a new member in my faction, Garces, which played on the Wolf server as well, has a beautiful ship that I'll be covering later in those 8.0 episodes. If you can't tell, I'm in an 8.0 right now, and I have been recording. It's just I've been extremely busy with work and family stuff going on. I haven't been able to actually put anything together. So bear with me. Season 4 is kicking, and I will be releasing it hopefully sometime this week. We've had some issues with the server too. They've had to restart a few times. They've had to wipe, and our base got wiped 3 times. So it has put us in some type of setback and put me in a recording setback as well. So those will be coming out. All right, next to my transport ship, I used this a lot on the server once I got it built. And I have not released this to Steam Workshop or finished the test for it. So I got to go back to Cheap Shipyard and do the test for the Argentavis. But this is the TY1 Argentavis. So transport, utility, and the Argentavis. The Argentavis is... Why is the sensors not working? There we go. Sensors working on this side. Sensors not working on that side. Okay, anyways. I had to change some of this due to some of the stuff I learned in the server, and I'm actually probably gonna adapt this a little bit more to 8.0 as well before I release it to Steam Workshop. But this right here, flying lights, turn on the flying lights. Let's see, ship's thrusters, turn that on. Ground lights, all that should be on. Boom. So this was my primary transport to go back and forth from Mordecai to the planet where we had all of our auto miners. I would pick up new people if they spawned in the southern sector back in the 7.0 server. So this thing was very useful for transporting. Yes, it has some Gatlings, but it's not meant for fighting at all. Exposed cockpit, not for fighting. But this thing is basically a exploratory or expedition type craft where it goes to the planet, does its thing. You could go craft some stuff in the back while you're waiting. It seats about 4 plus the pilot, well 6 plus the pilot, and a lot of space still for resources, fuel. Yeah, it's this thing is the primary transport ship for the Syndicate Syndicate. All right, next to a beautiful, probably one of my best designed ships ever. This is the PC-1 X Media. All right, designed originally by a guy in a faction that I was with in Space Engineers. He called it the Fairline. I rebuilt it here and called it the X Media after him because it was such an exceptional design. This thing is built like a submarine. This is the second change to it though, because on the web server I was made to put a bridge on the top. However, the new design that I have after my fight with XPA, I have done multiple changes on this. It's more survivable. It's more lethal. It is definitely a better craft. Will it be a craft to go head to head with heavier size classes than itself? No. This ship is specifically designed to handle like an SV and to be able to go 0 to 90 something kilometers a second, which is the max speed, in a second. So this thing could literally go jump into a planetary map, warp again. This thing is a leapfrog scout. It is very effective leapfrog scout. Okay, this thing will go deep into enemy territory and scout and then get out fast. So it is very hard for other vessels to keep up with this because of the ability for it to go max speed in an instant and warp. So in that effect, yes, it can put down some firepower. I think it lasted a total of almost 5, 6, 7 minutes in a battle, and that it was before I made it more survivable. So this thing is definitely going to be a mainstay. It's going to be our primary patrol scout craft for the faction. Okay, so on to the Thunderous Might. Again, I built this at the end of 6.0 on the Wolf server. I never got to use it, but I used it in this server to great effectiveness. This thing is designed specifically to carry the relics. 4 of them max. Now it could carry 2 zealots as well. So its ability to carry equipment is unparalleled to others. Why? Because it has these, the well decks. And this is crucial for this craft. The reason I designed it in this way is I wanted to be able to keep equipment out of danger and keep this out of danger as I'm transporting. How do you do that on a planet? Well, in space it's kind of hard because CVs can have all their weapons available to them and they can attack you, and so can SVs. On the planet, if you get underneath like 500 kilometers from the base, it's going to open fire on you. Same thing with the tanks. If you come within like I think 400 to 300 kilometers from an HV, it's going to open fire on you. CVs, however, most of their weapons besides miniguns and cannons are rendered ineffective in the planet's atmosphere. Plus their main mounted weapons. SVs are the only thing that can reach this thing in the atmosphere. So by keeping it floating in the air, I'm actually keeping it safe compared to other landing transports that land and are susceptible to base fire, susceptible to HVs, susceptible to SVs, susceptible to CVs. This thing would, if it's floating, which it does, at about 1,300 kilometers above the enemy's base, then the HVs are rendered ineffective. The only thing that can really attack it is a CV, and I mean, compared to 2 layers of combat steel, it's going to take a minigun and a cannon a long time to go through it. And that's if you have it actually targeting the right systems. Plus it has a flight deck, and it does have vehicles that are meant to on standby to help defend it. So this thing, with its abilities, yes, it's an ugly duckling. It is more function than form. And I meant it to be that way, right? It's designed to float. It's cheap still too because of its of what I constructed it with, and the fact that it's not overly large. I don't like overly large craft, but it is what it is. So it is not an attack ship by all means. You could use it as a gunship where you could land it to get rid of like some enemies. It's got miniguns and cannons on the bottom and the top, so it could clear out like wildlife or whatever. If you're trying to establish a base on the planet, it could definitely do that, and it could definitely hold a lot of equipment in the back cargo bay area. It mostly holds enough ammunition to resupply your tanks if it needs to, and your SVs. But this basically is a mobile floating attack base. The ASC stands for Atmospheric Assault Craft. So basically think of it as like a LSD or LHD in the United States Navy. It floats above its target, releasing all of its equipment and then putting it into battle. So this acts as more of like my floating command base, and it does it quite well. The only thing that I would like to see is, I'm probably going to redesign another ship instead of doing that Thunderous Might, is I want a protected well deck. So eventually I will be coming up with a better design or reaching out to the faction for one with a protected well deck, and then still keep it as cheap as possible. So yeah, that's everything that I personally used while in Season 3 on the Inflicted server. So yeah, leave a like, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button, and thanks for watching. See you for Season 4, 8.0. Chief Rocky, out.